Tenakotirama, Tenakoto, Tenakoto, Tenakoto. Norera, ko waio, ko Harleen Hain Takawingawa, ko te tumuaki o te whariwanaka o Takawaho. Nami hinui ki koto, Norera, Tenakoto, Tenakoto, Tenatato katoa. Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It is fantastic to see so many people here tonight for this very distinguished event. As you are now aware, my name is Harleen Hain, and I have the great privilege of being the Vice Chancellor here at the University of Otago, and I am extremely pleased to be here this evening to introduce our guest speaker for the Otago Chaplaincy and Dunedin Abrahamic Interfaith Peace Lecture. But before I introduce our speaker, I think that a peace lecture is an opportune time to take a moment for all of us to count our blessings. As for me, not a day goes by that I do not reflect on the privilege of being the Vice Chancellor here at the University of Otago. I am blessed to lead a university that is full of gifted researchers and award-winning teachers and a highly skilled group of professional staff, including our chaplaincy team, so many of whom are here with us this evening. I'm also blessed by the students who attend the University of Otago. These bright, articulate, and ambitious young people come from all over New Zealand and the rest of the world to study with us. And while they are here, they have a very unique opportunity to experience a residential environment that characterizes all of the world's great universities. Now, because our students come here not only to learn, but also to live, they have ample opportunity to meet others whose cultural practices or religious beliefs are different from their own. We know that that kind of interpersonal experience that our students have at Otago stay with them for a lifetime, forever changing the way they think about things like religion and community, society, and peace. But sometimes, amongst all these blessings, tragedy strikes. And this year, on March 15th, tragedy struck all of New Zealand when a gunman opened fire on the Alnor and Linwood mosques in Christchurch. Now, remarkably perhaps, in the midst of all of that tragedy, I actually experienced some of my proudest moments here at the University of Otago. Our staff and students in Christchurch provided excellent medical care to the families, and they continue to provide a huge amount of pastoral support for all of those in their community who have suffered. Here in Dunedin, 10,000 of our staff and students marched in silence to the stadium to pay our respects to the victims of the Christchurch massacre, and both staff and students provided words of hope at that civic service, including the president of our Muslim Students Association, who I noticed snuck in through the back. So it's very nice to see you. And I guess the other thing to point out is that in the wake of this kind of tragedy, it would be really natural for people to turn in their grief to anger and further violence. But thanks to the leadership of our Prime Minister, New Zealand's reaction was actually one of peace. But the Prime Minister was not alone. Tonight's speaker also stood at the center of this call for peace. On behalf of the University of Otago, it is a great honor for me to welcome the Imam of the Al-Noor Mosque, Gamal Fouda, to speak with us this evening. Now, Gamal is a native of Egypt, and he studied Islamic studies in Al-Zura University in Cairo. It happens to be one of my favorite cities in the world. He moved to New Zealand in 2003, first serving as the Imam of the Palmerston North Mosque, and then as the Imam of Al-Huda Mosque, here in Dunedin. And while he was here in Dunedin, Gamal also attended the College of Education, majoring in primary education. So in more ways than one, you are really one of us. Gamal moved to the United Arab Emirates in 2010 to pursue a career as a teacher at the International School in Dubai. And in 2014, he returned to New Zealand. And in 2016, he moved to Christchurch to assume the leadership of Al-Noor Mosque. Gamal, I'm very humbled to welcome you back home to Dunedin And I would now ask everyone to join me in inviting you to give your presentation. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brothers and sisters, in my hometown Dunedin, I've got my third daughter born here in Dunedin 10 years ago. I got two children in Palmas Wars and two daughters in Palmas Wars and one daughter in Dunedin, and another daughter in Christchurch. So I have 4 daughters plus my wife, so 5 ladies in my home. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your invitation, and I'm really humbled and I'm privileged to come and talk to you tonight. Thank you to the Abrahamic Interfaith group. Thank you, my friend. When I moved to Dunedin in 2006, I met Greg, and then he took me to the mayor of Christchurch, and they welcomed me to the city. So I was privileged also to work with them as a person to represent Muslims in the Abrahamic Interfaith group. Kia ora, tēnā koutou, shalom, freedom, happy, shantai. Assalamu alaikum, and good evening everyone. My name is Gamal Fouda. I am the Imam or the religious minister at Dean's Avenue Mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thank you for inviting me tonight, and I'm honored to address you as well. It is my pleasure to share with you my story and my journey when I first came to New Zealand in 2003. I went to Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt. I studied Islamic studies and graduated in 1998. For 2 years, I worked as an imam or religious minister in the Ministry of Religious Affairs in Cairo. Then the president of the Muslim Association of Greater Rockford in Illinois in the USA came to know about me from a friend who visited the USA at that time. He called me in Egypt to see if I will agree to become an imam in their mosque in Rockford. The congregation of that Islamic center interviewed me after one of Ramadan night prayers in the USA time. It was early morning in Egypt. The interview went very well, and they decided to offer me the job. Few days later, the president of the association flew to Egypt and came to my village to visit me, and we went together to the Minister of Religious Affairs in Egypt to actually get the approval and finish the process and probably get a visa to the USA. Unfortunately, this was directly after September 11th attack on New York. It was early 2002. The Egyptian officials told us that it is not safe to send such a young person to the USA. Instead, they said they were going to send me to one of the safest countries in the world. It was New Zealand. We all thought it would be safe. I searched the internet about New Zealand, and unexpectedly, I found it in the bottom of the world. Initially, I thought that it must be close to Holland or Switzerland in Europe. I got felt really disappointed because I am going to be sent to a country in the bottom of the world, which is very, very far away from my home country. Anyway, I started the process of my posting to New Zealand as an imam in Palmerston North, in the lower North Island of New Zealand. My job there as an imam who needs to address people in English. I did not have long experience enough to understand the Western mentality as well, so that I can address people in the right way. There was something else which made me very anxious. It is the feeling that people assume that Muslims are bad people. This stereotyping was the norm of the day for many people in the world at that time, especially after September 11. Sadly, it is still the norm today. I felt very frustrated and anxious at the same time. When I arrived in Palmerston North, believe it or not, I stayed in the mosque for around 4 months. I never went out. Frankly speaking, I was so scared to go out and meet people out there. I was very frightened to walk in the street wearing the Imam uniform, because people would recognize me as a Muslim and they might cause harm to me. After 2 months, I started to go out of my room and cautiously stood by the gate and read the Holy Quran. Whenever I hear any noise of a car coming towards the mosque, I quickly run inside the building to save my life. I thought that if someone recognizes me, he would kill me instantly. You might wonder how I got my food then. People from the mosque used to do shopping for me, and sometimes graciously and generously they cook food for me as well. One day I said to myself, let me wear a shirt and a trouser so that people cannot recognize me as Imam. The first person met me in the street, approached me and said, "Hello, bro." I asked myself what this man was saying. Later on, I asked the person in the mosque who lived in New Zealand for quite some time about what that man said. My friend told me this is the short form of "Hello, brother." I said to myself, this is nice. People here must be very kind then. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 15th of March 2019, a terrorist walked into Dean's Avenue Mosque when I was delivering my Friday speech. One of our worshippers went up to the man and they said, "Hello, brother." Hard-heartedly, the terrorist killed him in cold blood, along with other 51 people. He wounded 47 more. So the same word we use for peace was viciously disregarded by a human beast who attacked the peaceful worshippers in Dean's Avenue Mosque and gunned them down. Who could have imagined such a horrific attack might happen in New Zealand? The country that used to be famous for its peace, tranquility, compassion, care and love around the globe. Whenever any person asks about the most peaceful country in the world, instantly people would say it is New Zealand. This terrible person wanted to divide our nation apart. But we quickly stood together and we said that no hate will not divide us. The whole world watched that on the media. From the top person in this country to the ordinary person in the street. On March 22nd, 1 week after 15th of March, I addressed thousands of people in Hagley Park and they said, hate will not divide us and love will redeem us. Ladies and gentlemen, a week later, I visited Berlin Wall and the checkpoint Charlie, which was a crossing point between East Berlin and West Berlin during the Cold War. I paid a historic visit to the biggest synagogue in Berlin, where I addressed some students and preachers. I told them that Muslims and Jews are siblings to each other. The Jews felt the pain of discrimination by Nazis. Now Muslims are passing through the same path of agony and disgrace. After September 11, when many countries participated in the war on terror, Islam and Muslims have frequently been treated as public enemies, and hate speech against them has been widely normalized. People assume that Muslims and Jews are enemies, but we are not. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity are religions from God. God told us to love each other and work together for the benefit of the people around us and those in our society. Religions are there for people to learn how to love each other. They are not there to build a wall between you and the people around you. Islam teaches us to love each other and to care about each other. Any religion that teaches violence and killing innocent people is not from the true God who created all of us. Because God loves us. He created us. He cares for us. We are from Him. He is our God, the Creator, the Nourisher, and the Sustainer. He gave us everything. He gave us our heart, our eyes, the power, the ability, the health, the wealth, everything we enjoy is from God. So God loves us. He wants us to love each other and to share the planet in peace with each other. And it is His wisdom to make us different from each other in color, in language, ethnicities, so that we can enjoy this earth together. If you want to be a doctor, and I want to be a doctor, who is going to be a teacher, or a builder, or a hairdresser? If everyone wants the same tomato, we end up killing each other for a tomato. Ladies and gentlemen, it is up to us. We need to make good choices. We need to work with each other and to cooperate with each other and to care for each other. Though we are different, but we can still enjoy each other and love each other. New Zealand and New Zealanders have set a role model for the world to emulate in peace and harmony among its people. New Zealanders must retain and strengthen this beautiful image. We are the leaders of the world in maintaining the harmony among our citizens. We are very proud that we are together. We are not broken. We have taught the world how to care for and love our people. We still have lots of work to do to eliminate racism in our country. We are not angels, and we are not perfect. There are people here who still need more education to learn how to tolerate others and understand others and accept others who are different to them. In 2038, half of New Zealand will be immigrants, which means that one day we'll probably have immigrant mayors or ministers. Whether we want it or not, or accept it or not, this is the right of every New Zealand citizen. I have moved from my home country to New Zealand, and now this is my land. It is my place. It is the place of my family and my children. It is my Turanga Waiwai. I love this soil. I love this land. And I love this place. I love these people. I love us because we are one. This is my home. I cherish it. I love people, and I expect people to love me. And this is what brings harmony to our beautiful nation. Ladies and gentlemen, diversity is the superpower of any nation. When people love and care for each other, the whole nation will be very strong and powerful. When we hate each other, the nation becomes weak and shattered. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the believers are like one body. When any part aches, the whole body will feel the pain. I believe that when any one of us aches, we all feel the pain. That is what happened on the 15th of March. The whole nation felt the pain. It was an attack on all of us, Muslims and non-Muslims, people of faith and no faith. It was a war against New Zealand. It was a war against peace and love. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I would like all the peace lovers to carry peace in our hearts, to express our love to all human beings, and to share this planet with love and care for each other. I admire two great leaders in our world today. The Honorable Pope Francis, the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City-State, and Dr. Ahmed al-Tayyib, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar in Egypt, the head of the vast majority of Muslims around the world. These brave religious leaders signed a historic document on human fraternity for world peace and living together. They called for peace between nations, religions, and races in front of a global audience of religious leaders from Christianity, Islam, and other faiths in Abu Dhabi early this year. The two great leaders pledged that Al-Azhar and the Vatican will work together to combat hate speech and racism, and most importantly, to fight extremism. The document warns against a third world war being fought piecemeal, gradually. The document says people must not use religions to incite war, hateful attitudes, hostility, and extremism, nor must they incite violence or the shedding of blood. They appealed to all people to reject awful violence and blind extremism. They asked us to cherish the values of tolerance and fraternity that are promoted and encouraged by religions. And they declared that God has created us to understand one another, cooperate with one another, and live as brothers and sisters who love one another. This is what they hope and seek to achieve with the aim of finding a universal peace that all can enjoy in this life. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to see our country, New Zealand, a country with zero discrimination. New Zealand now is sitting on the international stage for peace and social cohesion among its citizens of all races and colors. We are leading the world towards love, compassion, and care for each other and every individual in our nation. The world wants to learn from us. The whole world got surprised at how we quickly came together after such a horrific attack on the innocent worshippers in Dean's Avenue Mosque on March 15th. We have to maintain this prestigious position through our care and love towards each other. This is the challenge we are facing at the moment. The country has to find ways how to stay in that unique position. Racial discrimination is a serious matter and cannot be accepted in our society. Hate speech on social media is part of racial discrimination, and it can kill and cause disharmony in our society. You may have been racially discriminated against if someone makes offensive remarks or jokes about your religion, your race, your color, your ethnicity or nationality, mimics the way you speak, calls you racist names, send you racially offensive materials on the social media. It can be something small, like deliberately mispronouncing your name. We have to use our brain and ask ourselves why racial discrimination is wrong. Critical thinking is a very powerful tool to drive our youth our children, our elders safely towards a more cohesive society. We need to start to question anything and any ideas presented to us, including what I am telling you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, asking questions opens the door to understanding and drives us to make a sense of our world. We should not be fooled by some irresponsible media platforms or political leaders who sometimes misguide the public for political or material gains. This way they divide the nations into fractions, hating each other and competing with one another. In this beautiful country, which we love and cherish, and we are proud of, everyone has the right to be treated fairly and with full respect. We all have the right to be free from unwelcome racial conduct by anyone and anywhere. My simple advice to anyone tonight: you do not have to put up with racial behavior. Racial discrimination is often repeated unless action is taken. So we have to take it seriously. Talk to the person, give him or her advice. It may not impact you directly, but definitely it will impact somebody else very badly. It may impact on how you feel about work, study, or accessing services. It can lower your self-esteem and causes health problems. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have a moral responsibility to take steps to prevent racial discrimination. And to speak against it. Talk it over with someone you trust and who will keep the information confidential. This may help clarify your best course of action. Speak to the people who are causing you troubles and tell them you want them to stop. Seek advice and assistance from your manager, your school, or college counselor, the Human Rights Commission, your union representative, or a lawyer, a professional disciplinary body, the police, the Employment Relations Service. Be a role model. Be vocal in opposing discriminatory views and practices, especially with friends and family who respect your opinion. Help educate others about issues and about your own experience. We should not make assumptions. Stereotypes hurts everyone. Islamophobia is real. It killed in many places around the world. It killed us in Christchurch. We need to examine what our prejudices are and make adjustments to look at everyone as an individual human being created by God. We are all brothers from a different mother. We should learn about other people and their cultures. By learning about other people our life will be completely different for good, and our appreciation for our own culture will deepen. We should learn about other people and other cultures. By learning about other people, our life will be completely different for good, and our appreciation for our own culture will deepen. In our workplace, in our class, start to work on projects with members or groups different from your own. Working as an equal alongside others from different groups on a common project is one of the best ways to undo prejudice and build positive relationships with other people. Use food to celebrate cultural diversity. Food can present a good opportunity to learn more about someone's culture and traditions. He cooks hangi. She makes pavlova, and they make tandoori chicken, and I make basbousa. As parents or guardians, religious figures, imams, religious ministers, teachers, and educators, we need to expose our people to diversity at a young age. Read stories that explain, that present stereotype. Children can benefit from knowing other children from different groups in the young age before prejudices and biases are formed. As parents or guardians, religious figures, imams, teachers, and educators, we need to find any local anti-prejudice and anti-racist organizations and give them our great support. Whether your efforts are in volunteering, financial donation, or being an advocate, working with other groups toward the same goal can be beneficial to you, to your children, and to the community around you. I'm sure you will meet great people and find real support for your efforts. By getting involved, your voice can make a big difference at the local level and sometimes at the international level as well. Also, we should report any material on television, radio, print, or on the social media which we consider to be racist, as these often likely to lead to racial tension in our society. Quite often, it starts from the social media. Ladies and gentlemen, now nearly 6 months past the tragic events of 15th of March. Where to from here? We need to renew the call for social harmony and to address the racial discrimination and hate speech on the media. We need to promote the value of diversity, racial understanding, and harmony. In all our governmental and non-governmental agencies, we have to be extremely careful. We must not cover any single serious threats to racial harmony in this beautiful country. We need to make sure that it is unacceptable to publish material which is threatening, abusive, or insulting, or likely to excite hostility against any group of people or bring them into contempt on the ground of their religion, color, race, or ethnicity. Some people may say, we are in a democratic country where the freedom of speech is. Of course, the right to freedom of expression is so important. However, this should not be offensive nor likely to cause serious ethnic tension or unrest in our society. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the offensive remarks seep from the media or social media. We should not keep quiet about it. We have to address our concerns to the publisher or broadcaster and to the social media provider. In New Zealand, there are 3 main organizations that hear complaints about statements in the media and advertising. New Zealand Press Council, Advertising Standards Authority, Broadcasting Standards Authority. New Zealand has set a role model of love and care to the world, and that was very obvious after 15th of March. The whole world praised us for our sympathy and courage, and we showed the world how we genuinely care for our people. After 15th of March, I have been to many countries, and many people told me that they want to come to New Zealand. They want to see New Zealanders. This is you and me. They want to meet the Prime Minister of New Zealand. This is us on the international stage. We have to continue to show the world and our future generations how to care for each other and how to show love to each other. I want New Zealand and New Zealanders to decorate the world record with the love that we share with each other and with the rest of the world. I want New Zealand to be completely free from racial discrimination. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been through a terrible thing together in this country. The only way we can heal is to love one another and to continue the role model we have set to the entire world. The whole world is watching New Zealand to learn from us because they know we are all one. Finally, remember to love each other. Hate will not divide us if love unites us. Thank you very much.